While Martin Luther sparked the Reformation, another man refined and systematized its theology, John Calvin. His ideas reshaped Christianity, laying the foundation for Reformed theology and influencing societies for centuries. But who was Calvin, and how did he transform the world of faith? Born in 1509 in Noyon, France, Jean Calvin was destined for a life in the Catholic Church. His father, an administrator for the local bishop, ensured he received an elite education. Calvin initially studied law at the University of Orléans, but his passion lay in theology and classical studies. By his early 20s, Calvin had embraced the ideas of Martin Luther and the growing Protestant Reformation. His shift from Catholicism to Protestantism was dangerous. France was hostile to reformers, and persecution was rising. Calvin's sudden conversion, as he later described it, led him to break from the Catholic Church. By 1536, he had written The Institutes of the Christian Religion, a groundbreaking work that systematically explained Protestant beliefs. This book laid out his theology, emphasizing God's sovereignty, predestination, and salvation by grace alone. It would become a cornerstone of Reformed Christianity. Fleeing persecution, Calvin found refuge in Geneva, Switzerland. In 1541, he was invited to lead the city's religious reform. Geneva became his laboratory for a disciplined Christian society, governed by strict moral codes and religious laws. He established the consistory, a governing body that enforced moral behavior. Drinking, gambling, and even dancing were regulated. Though some saw him as a harsh theocrat, others praised his efforts to create a model Christian city. At the heart of Calvin's theology was predestination, the belief that God had already chosen who would be saved. This idea was controversial, but Calvin argued that human actions could not change God's divine will. Calvinism emphasized that salvation came by God's grace alone, not by good deeds. His ideas spread across Europe, influencing churches in Scotland, the Netherlands, and eventually America. Calvin's influence extended beyond Geneva. His teachings inspired John Knox in Scotland, shaping Presbyterianism, and Puritans in England, who later carried his ideas to America. Beyond theology, Calvinism contributed to ideas of hard work, discipline, and even democracy. Some historians argue that Calvin's focus on self-governance influenced modern constitutional governments. John Calvin died in 1564, but his influence never faded. His teachings shaped Protestantism, inspired religious movements, and even left a mark on political thought. Whether seen as a theological genius or a strict disciplinarian, Calvin remains one of the most important figures in Christian history. What do you think about Calvin's legacy? Let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more historical figures on Fame Through Ages.